Arsenal have added Gabriel Jesus to the transfer list. Yes, you have heard that correctly. Gabriel Jesus is now up to sale. One of the reasons which has been given for Gabriel Jesus being on the transfer list is the fact that he is always injured and he hasn't really recovered from the knee injury. For Arsenal fans, it has come as a shock. Gabriel Jesus would have been one of the last players I'd expect for us to put on the transfer list. Yes, his finishing may not be that good, but he offers something that you can't just get from any player. He's absolute cinema when he's on it. His dribbling, his skill, his positioning, it's just so good to watch at times. Especially in the Champions League this season, when he was fit, he was a joy to watch, scoring goals for fun. And I'm baffled that he could be on the transfer list. But it just goes to show how ruthless we are now becoming under Arteta. If a player is on such high wages, which Gabriel Jesus is on, and they're not producing the performances that those wages would commend, then put them on the transfer list. Gabriel Jesus wasn't signed to be a rotational player, and with the surging form of Kai Havertz, maybe it is now the time to move him on, and probably the best opportunity we'll get at getting a substantial fee for him. But it is of course early days, so I would just take this news as a pinch of salt for now, because I think Gabriel Jesus can play a really critical role for us, either in the number 9, off the left, on the right, or even as an 8 in emergency situations. He's known as one of the most versatile forwards in the world, and although his Arsenal career maybe hasn't been as glamorous as we would have wanted, but maybe that's just due to the amount of injuries that he's had, he's still a pivotal player. What do you think, Gunners? Do you think it's now time to move on Gabriel Jesus? And who would you bring in? There's already been talk from Arsenal to get Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, who of course is a top player. And Arsenal do this recently where they set their targets early. Last year it was Declan Rice. The season before it was Gabriel Jesus. We knew about our interest for a very long time. And it now seems like Bruno Guimaraes is that player who Arsenal have definitely decided they want to sign. Bruno Guimaraes has a 100 million release clause, and if you want to know more about this signing and how it can fit Arsenal, I made a video on this a couple of days ago and it's well worth a watch. But of course, when you're signing all these players, you have to then get rid of some as well. And it looks like it's going to be a really busy summer for Arsenal, and it probably is our most important transfer window yet. We won't really be focused on signing rotational players that are like 20 million, 30 million. It's now time to get superstars to take us to the next level. Declan Rice was the first step in the direction to do that. So this summer, I wouldn't be surprised if we brought another 100 million player, maybe Bruno Guimaraes, Rafael Leao. Victor Osimhen is a massive target. And the fact we're in for Osimhen may be the reason for Gabriel Jesus going on the transfer list. But then again, reports have come out that Kai Havertz's recent form has ended our pursuit for a striker, and we're looking for wide wingers and midfielders. But either way, Arsenal are going to be busy, and it's now time to get those players who are world class, because this is our golden era. We want those players who are the 23, 24, 25, 26 range, who can be with the club for another 5, maybe even 10 years. It is time to build a dynasty, and I'm just so excited that we are now a big club and we're now really competitive, so we can bring in all these top quality players. And we've got to thank Mikel Arteta for his contribution, because years ago we would have never been even with a chance of signing these players. Another player who seems to be on the transfer list, and it's come out this week, is Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously not getting enough game time, and it's fair enough that he's on the transfer list, and Chelsea apparently have major interest in him. And I'm not sure how I would feel if we got Aaron Ramsdale to go to Chelsea, one of our rivals. But I feel if a good enough offer comes in around that 60 million mark, I would definitely consider it. Because it's time we got a player on the bench who Mikel Arteta will work with. Because Aaron Ramsdale, although he's top quality, you can't have a sellable asset on the bench. And it is looking like Raya will be bought this summer for that £30 million, and it's well deserved, set to become the Golden Glove winner. And I would really say Aaron Ramsdale's time and potentially being number 1 is over. I think Mikel Arteta has already made a decision that Raya is the one he wants. And of course, that will mean we'll have to look for another backup goalkeeper who's content with being the backup goalkeeper. But we can say that in recent years, backup goalie is not a thing with Arteta. He'll give you a fair chance to come and earn the jersey. We saw it with Ramsdale taking it off Leno. We've seen it with Raya taking it off Ramsdale. And maybe the next goalkeeper will take it off Raya as well. But it's that ruthlessness from Arteta. A player, although they may be loved, although they may have built a connection with the fans, if they're not fitting his philosophy, and if he feels they can get someone better, then obviously they can go on the transfer list. I think one of the craziest stats I read in regards to Gabriel Jesus is the fact that Kai Havertz is 6 goals behind him in his Arsenal career. And that just goes to show that maybe Gabriel Jesus needs to go now. And I will never forget them 10 games or so at the beginning of last season where Gabriel Jesus was absolute cinema. He really looked like one of the best players of all time. And I know that sounds silly to say, but he was just that good. And us as Arsenal fans should forever be grateful for the likes of Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus for the contribution they have made. I'd probably say they were the players who were the first step to us being in the race for the title and all these top European awards. And that is our next player who looks like he will be on his way out as well. Alexander Zinchenko. We've already seen us linked with players like Jorel Heito, Julian Timbers coming back, Usman Diamonde, which means Zinchenko will be surplus to requirements. And again, another player, him and Jesus, of course, just brilliant for us last season. But it does look like their time in the squad is up. They've got so many weaknesses which are starting to show. And for us to be to that next level, again, is that ruthlessness. And Zinchenko himself probably knows that he isn't going to get the game time he wants. And I think the Champions League is behind a lot of these decisions. You need to have loads of profiles and different profiles of players. And Arsenal seem to lack quite a lot of profiles. If we look into the left-back area where I think Zinchenko might be on his way, we could replace that with a left-back that can overlap. We've got a lot of players who can invert, but it's about having that variety and complication for the opposition that you can put players that have different roles. Ben White on the right is an example of an overlapping right back, and we need one on the left as well for dynamism. Marcus Rashford is a really quick player. There's been a lot of links for us to sign him, and he offers something different to our front line, some in-behind threat. Although Martinelli has been that in-behind threat for a long time, adding Marcus Rashford wouldn't hurt. He is a big game player, has produced a lot over the last few years for Manchester United, and I think working under Arteta will really help him with his career. But anyway, that's it for now, Gunners. Hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Gabriel Jesus potentially leaving, Zinchenko, Ramsdale, and bringing in players like Bruno Guimaraes, like Marcus Rashford, and an overlapping fullback? Who would you bring? And do you think we need more variety in the squad in terms of profiles? Anyway, see you guys later, and like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you are new here.